Controlling the Fruit Fly by Jamie Card and David Morris. Fruit flies are some of the country's biggest pests. They do about $28 million worth of damage to Australian horticulture each year. In Queensland, they currently release up to 3 million sterilised fruit flies per week. How is radiation used in the sterilisation process? Insects are mostly sterilised with radiation. The correct doses are required, otherwise the insects could be too weak to mate with the female flies. So this is a picture taken from the inside of ARC gamma radiation facility. All fruit flies that are scheduled for release are irritated at a dose of 90 grays. Each batch of irritated fruit flies has a dosage indicator to make sure the minimum dose, 90 grays, is given. So how does it work? First of all, batches of male fruit flies are sterilized using gamma radiation doses. Millions of these sterile male insects are released. These insects compete with the male flies for the female fruit flies who cause the damage. They do this because when the sterile males mate with the female, there will be no offspring. If there are offspring, then they will most likely die within a short space of time after birth. Because females can only mate once, there is no chance of them mating with wild male flies afterwards. What size doses are involved? The radiation doses around the world for Metafly SIT vary from program to program and are usually between 90 grays and 120 grays. If there is much less than 90 grays, the process may not work properly, possibly causing the females to produce healthy offspring after mating with the sterile male flies. If the dosage is too large, then the male flies will be too weak to compete against wild male flies and therefore not be able to mate with the females. To be effective in an SRT program, male flies, treated with radiation need to be able to compete effectively in the field with wild flies. Who conducts the sterilizations? Workers in radiation facilities like ARC Gamma Radiation Facility mentioned before, and researchers in Hawaii have been running tests where they sterilize fruit flies and later release them to see how effective the process is. Why is the program so effective in protecting our crops from fruit flies? This is effective because there will be hardly any larvae to damage the crops after a certain period of time in which these sterile insects have been released. Because the females are unable to create any offspring with the sterile insects, the population of fruit flies will eventually die out, while at least in the troubled areas where this process is being used. This means that the crops no longer have the threat of the fruit flies laying eggs in the crops. Why is the program so much better for the environment than alternative control mechanisms? The sterile males that are released during the program year do not contain any radioactivity substances, and because they are unable to reproduce, they will simply die sometime later. Thanks for listening.